This is a cold-blooded predator. 68 million years ago, the powerful Dinosaurus roamed the frozen lands of the Arctic. It held its breath in silence, coiled like a spring, ready to strike at any moment. A sharp-eyed small mammal, unaware of the danger, was already locked in the predator's cold gaze. As the distance closed to a deadly range, Dinosaurus exploded into incredible speed. But luckily, White reacted quickly, starting a race for survival where every second counted. However, White didn't run toward the nearby dense forest. Instead, it bolted straight for the open ice plains, where the barren ice was almost entirely exposed, vulnerable to the predator's deadly teeth. What seemed like a fatal mistake turned out to be a stroke of survival genius. The faster White ran, heading for a frozen pond. Its lightweight body made it easy to glide across the ice. But when the massive Dinosaurus stepped onto the surface, its heavy weight caused the ice to crack, its feet getting stuck in the crevices, unable to move. Helpless, the predator could only watch as White escaped. But White wasn't just running for survival. It had a higher level of survival intelligence. After narrowly escaping, it returned to the forest, but hunger became even more pressing in the frigid Arctic night. If it couldn't find food, the cold night would be fatal. A fallen log caught its attention. It approached cautiously, using its front paws to peel back the bark, revealing a fat grub. This protein was as valuable as gold in winter, but White didn't eat it right away. Instead, it carefully held the grub in its mouth and walked toward a stream. After observing for a moment, White did something surprising. It tossed the grub into the water. Soon, a hungry fish swam by, and White struck with precision. It turned out the grub was being used as live bait, a classic strategy of small investment for a big return. Today, modern kingfishers and perch use the same technique, perhaps a method passed down through the birds from the dinosaurs. But for White, a single grub or fish was never enough to satisfy its appetite. In this frozen world, it had to constantly innovate its survival strategies. Scientists scanning fossil skulls have found that White's brain was more than 3 times the size of a T-Rex's, ranking it among the smartest of all dinosaurs. It was, without a doubt, the true Einstein of the dinosaur age. So, which dinosaur do you think was smarter than White? A pterosaur was about to rest on the surface of the sea when, in the blink of an eye, its life was suddenly ended. The creature that attacked it was none other than the ocean's true ruler, the Mosasaurus. In the prehistoric seas, almost every marine creature was prey to the Mosasaurus. Among these was Xiphactinus, a terrifyingly large fish, about 20 feet long and weighing around 1,100 pounds. Its mouth was lined with 12-inch long, razor-sharp teeth capable of swallowing fish as long as 7 feet. With a body built like a missile, it could move with incredible speed. However, compared to the Mosasaurus, such predators were practically insignificant. The body of the Xiphactinus was torn apart, but the Mosasaurus wasn't content with just hunting sea creatures. It would sometimes even attack land-dwelling dinosaurs. On one occasion, a small Hadrosaurus was cornered on the shore by a pack of hunters. Just as a Tyrannosaurus was about to deliver a fatal blow, the Mosasaurus suddenly leaped out of the water and snatched the Hadrosaurus from the jaws of the T-Rex. Faced with such a powerful foe, the Tyrannosaurus dared not challenge the Mosasaurus. It could only watch helplessly as the ocean predator took away its meal. If you were already stunned by this scene, the next event will be even more unbelievable. 2 Tyrannosaurs cornered a Tylosaurus in shallow water. To escape their pursuit, the Tylosaurus had no choice but to swim toward deeper waters, while the Tyrannosaurs relentlessly chased after it. However, they didn't realize that the Mosasaurus was silently swimming toward them. In an instant, the Mosasaurus attacked the Tyrannosaurus, catching them off guard. The Tyrannosaurus scrambled to escape, eventually evading the Mosasaurus's assault. Furious, one of the T-Rex bit down on the Mosasaurus's tail and forcefully flung it aside. But the Tyrannosaurus didn't give up. It continued its pursuit of the Mosasaurus. What happened next was truly unbelievable. In a moment of shocking irony, the Tyrannosaurus met its end in the ocean, becoming the Mosasaurus's lunch. Even more astonishing was the fact that this massive ocean ruler, the Mosasaurus, had ancestors that were barely a meter-long lizards. If a T-Rex were to travel through time and arrive in the modern world, could it dominate the animal kingdom? Even the top predator on the savanna, the lion, would feel fear in the presence of a T-Rex. Standing about 16 feet tall and measuring over 40 feet in length, it far outmatches the lion in strength and threat. When the lion sees the T-Rex, it would be frozen in fear, too terrified to even think about fighting back. But the T-Rex isn't interested in these small feline creatures. Its gaze quickly locks onto something much larger in the distance, a mighty African elephant. Weighing about 6 to 7 tons, this is the real prey for the T-Rex. The T-Rex quietly approaches the herd, and just as danger looms, a female elephant steps forward. She raises her head, revealing her sharp tusks, and lets out a deep, threatening roar, warning the T-Rex to back off. However, the T-Rex isn't intimidated by threats. It swiftly lunges at the female elephant, its massive jaws aimed directly at her neck. But the elephant's neck is thick and tough, making it difficult for the T-Rex to find a vulnerable spot. At the same time, the elephant's tusks, like spears, thrust toward the T-Rex, forcing it to stay out of reach. Realizing that brute force alone won't win the fight, the T-Rex changes tactics. It waits for the right moment, using its powerful bite to snap off one of the tusks, then quickly moves behind the elephant and sinks its teeth into her front leg. The intense pain drives the elephant into a frenzy, and she begins to struggle wildly. While the tusk injury isn't fatal, the weight of the elephant's massive body is too much for her front leg to bear, and it starts to give way. Finally, the T-Rex delivers a crushing blow, and the elephant crashes to the ground, her neck exposed. exposed. Against the T-Rex's crushing bite, no animal stands a chance. Do you think any animal today could challenge the T-Rex's reign as the king of beasts? A prehistoric giant had died on the beach, and the strong smell of blood quickly attracted scavengers. Descending from the sky, a group of pterosaurs swooped down, fighting each other for a share of the feast. On a nearby hill, a pack of Carnotaurus noticed the commotion and excitedly rushed toward the beach. It wasn't every day that so much food gathered in one place. The youngest members arrived first, but a massive Quetzalcoatlus blocked their way, not intending to share the spoils. The young ones hesitated for a moment until the leader appeared. A powerful adult Carnotaurus let out a roar, using its sheer presence to force the pterosaurs away. The Carnotaurus pack greedily devoured the massive corpse of a plesiosaur, savoring the rare abundance. It had been a long time since they had eaten so well. In between gnawing and growling, they relished the feast, knowing it would sustain them for a week. Dirty and content, they decided to set up camp right there, feeling it was a luxury to wake up next to food in such a wild and unforgiving world. The coastline was teeming with life. Herds of herbivores came to drink, surrounded by dozens of opportunistic pterosaurs. But abundance also brought danger, and the smallest always paid the price. A young herbivore tripped and fell, and within seconds, predators surrounded it, ready to claim it on this merciless land. Life and death intertwined in every moment. The struggle for survival never ceased. One can't help but wonder, if humans had lived in that era of giants, would we have come as far as we have today? A she-wolf became pregnant with the Wolf King's pups, but was ruthlessly abandoned by her pack. Since she was not the alpha female, the news of her carrying the Wolf King's cubs was unacceptable in this pack, which followed strict monogamy rules. To make matters worse, the true alpha female was also pregnant. Eventually, with the Wolf King's tacit approval, Mary, the she-wolf, was driven out of the pack. Pregnant and without the protection of the pack, Mary found it extremely difficult to forage for food on the predator-filled island. She was forced to scavenge what remains of other predators' meals on the beach. Meanwhile, the alpha female, under the Wolf King's protection, had already found a hidden tree hollow to give birth in. She had no worries about food, as the Wolf King and the pack brought it back from their hunts every day. Mary's situation was much worse. She was still exposed to the harsh elements, unable to find a suitable place to give birth. After a storm, Mary arrived early at the shore, hoping to find some animal remains washed up by the waves. Soon, her sharp nose detected a dead sea otter, likely leftover from another predator's meal. Mary didn't hesitate. She began devouring the fresh meat. After all, it had been so long since she had tasted anything this fresh. However, after just a few bites, the owner of the prey appeared, the Wolf King. Despite Mary still carrying his pups, the Wolf King showed no mercy. He intended to take the remaining food back to the alpha female. Mary, reluctantly, picked up a small piece of meat and quietly left. 3 months later, the alpha female successfully gave birth to 2 pups. Once she ensured the area was safe, she ventured out of the tree hollow with her little ones for the first time. The alpha female had to constantly watch over them, while her mate, the Wolf King, continued to bring back food every day. Meanwhile, Mary also gave birth to her pups, but her life was far different. To find food, she often left her pups in the den and ventured out alone. Hunting on her own was incredibly difficult, and Mary knew it. Today, she had spent the entire day without finding food. If this continued, both she and her newborns would face starvation. In her despair, Mary made a bold decision. She would head towards the tree hollow where the alpha female lived. Typically, wild sea wolves would quietly attack rival dens to steal food and even eat their enemies' pups. Right now, the alpha female's pups were playing outside the den, completely unaware that danger was near. Mary carefully approached the entrance, taking every step cautiously, fearing that the alpha female might detect her.